Hi, it's Charlie giving you Monday's update, and before I go into that, just very briefly, this coming Wednesday we've got the webinar on the $10,000 to $100,000 challenge that I've been doing this past 18 months. This is the penultimate webinar prior to the grand unveiling, so to speak, wherever I may be, with the challenge that is, in March of next year. So we've only got 5 to 6 months left on the challenge. So this is the penultimate webinar. Lots of new stuff in here about my experiences over this year and some of the little tips that I would give to people in order to if you're trying to, doesn't matter whether you're trying to do something like this, but certainly when it comes to gaining consistency, some of the small little things that I don't even think about, but I have been thinking about and thinking, oh yes, of course I do this, and this sometimes when I'm trading, and which can make a big difference. So over the course of a week, month, year, whatever. So if you haven't already registered for it, just go to easytrader.com/webinars. And then you can sign up for it. Then it's going to be quite hard hitting as usual, but there's new angles that I'm looking at and information I'm giving, obviously based on what I've been up to this year. So there's going to be plenty to go through there, including my biggest trade of the year. So I'll be covering that off and covering through the psychology of that as well. That biggest trade of the year that I just had a week or two ago. So loads of new stuff in there. So that's that. And we just went to the London Investor Show this last Friday, and it was a fantastic show actually. Really enjoyed it. Check out our Facebook page. I think Sam's putting up an email, some photos and stuff. But we spoke to just so many people throughout the course of the day. If you have any questions, whatever they may be, by all means pop them on to reply to this post or pop them onto Facebook, whatever, because I was just inundated by people asking questions the whole day, and there's so many questions I've actually forgotten most of them. And there was one chap I do remember having a conversation with, and hopefully you're listening to this right now, and I said, yes, I will do that for you on a video update at some point, and I've completely forgotten what his question was. So if you are that man where we had that conversation, by all means write in. But in the meantime, one thing that I did pick up on was where people traders like to have certainty, and in that they like to know that, okay, if I buy it here, and what's my percentage of win rate, and what's my chances of me making money, and I don't like having losses, and so they want to have high win rates, so they've got a high certainty there, and they can handle having a couple of losers. Or it might be that they want a system that's like a guaranteed type system. And I was asking a question when I was doing my presentation about is there any systems, any automated systems out there that that I would recommend? And the answer, the short answer is no. But there was a long answer obviously to that, and I'm not going to cover that off right now. But what was interesting was that people want to have things like that because they just want the easiness. They want trading to be easy, want certainty, and for it to be easy. It's something that's simple. And although technically trading can be quite simple, on a deeper level, it's obviously a lot more difficult than that, and that's where whether you've got a system or whatever it might be, you have to develop the psychology, the mindset. And I know we talk about it over and over again, but without it, you've got nothing. You're a shallow puddle, and with the best strategy in the world, the best will in the world, you will not crack it if you don't develop that. And that's why it's so important to us to be able to help traders develop that side of their trading, because the certainty certainly very quickly becomes uncertainty if you don't have that. Right, okay, I won't mention any more there. Just very, very quickly, I thought I'd just span out to weekly charts this week and just have a look through a few charts, and just looking at the weekly time frames and saying, okay, where do we think from here? Well, I've got the S&P here. I think we're there or thereabouts, certainly due a bit of a pullback. I know that the S&P is pulling back a little bit here this morning. The futures are. This is obviously the cash market as of the close on Friday. It's come up to my upper bands here on the weekly charts. That would normally suggest that we're there or thereabouts against some resistance, and it has pulled back a little bit here so far today. So that's on the futures. So what would I be looking for? Now, bear in mind we've got FOMC this week, so it's a big week really, and we never know which way that's going to throw these markets. So really, putting any big bets on the indices ahead of FOMC could be a bit dangerous, so to speak. Could be very fortuitous and make a lot of money, but very easy to get stopped out. But certainly, if I had to look at this chart right now, and if this was a 5-minute chart, I would be looking to sell, only to see how much it might come down. I'm not looking necessarily for it to come all the way down from here, but by any means. But certainly some short-term selling coming in. So that's how I'd be looking at it, but I'm just very cautious of the fact that we have got FOMC on Wednesday, and whether we can hold up into that, or maybe we dip down first and then come back up. There's a couple of levels on the futures which haven't been hit yet. So although I'm looking at the S&P here and saying that's a sell, I'm well aware that the futures, and let me give you an example here. If we go to the Dow Jones, see, the Dow hasn't quite come up to its upper bands, you see, so there's still some wiggle room on the Dow to still come higher if it wants to. So, but I think we're in the zone, so to speak. So definitely looking out this week for sell signals on these markets. Okay, so that's those two. Let's have a look at a couple other markets, and then let's have a look at the pound dollar on the weekly chart. It's not saying too much there on the weekly time frame. Having said that, what it's been doing is consolidating and basing around the weekly 200 moving average here. I'm just going to check it off screen because I know that the telecharts moving averages can be a bit different to my e-signal charts, and no, that's about right. So on the weekly time frame, so the potential is there for the pound to have a little bit more relief rally. It's obviously rallied a bit, and we're back up above 161. Remember we were down into the 158s just a week or two ago. So, but there still looks to me like there's a little bit more upside to come on the pound dollar. So that's how I'll be looking. Doesn't mean to say we can't have any flush and pullbacks in the meantime, but overall that's what I would be looking for at some point. But again, all of these markets are going to be influenced by FOMC this week. So it's 6 p.m. on this coming Wednesday because of the daylight saving as the clocks have changed. So it's going to be a tough one to put any major trades in ahead of that. But after that, then the markets can then free themselves up probably a little bit. So that's the pound, that's the S&P. Let's have a quick look at. I don't even think I can be bothered to look at the euro dollar because it's not quite so clean and clear. Let's have a look at the. I'm trying to find it on off screen here. The dollar yen. And then we'll look at the dollar yen and then the dollar CAD actually. So the dollar CAD has come up pretty much to its upper bands here on the weekly charts. The potential is to come up and retest these highs here. Markets do like to retest old highs. We've come down, pulled into the bands. We've now bounced. Now it's a case of, okay, can it break through these bands, or are they going to be seen as resistance? There is the potential for it to come up and retest these highs. If it comes up to retest these highs, expect the euro to probably come down. But at the moment, it's right up against resistance, so we could see a bit of ping-ponging between these bands just until at least Wednesday. So we'll see. And well, it's unlikely it's going to do it completely between now and Wednesday because this is a weekly chart. But anyway, it's again into a resistance area. And then lastly, let's have a quick look at the dollar CAD. I just noticed, and I wanted to have a quick look at, if I can see it on my screen. Let me press pause because I can't see it. Found it. Right. Dollar CAD weekly chart looks good. Nice enough trend. I don't think there is actually too much I can say about this dollar CAD at the moment on the weekly chart. Let's have a quick look at the monthly. Trend's okay. So trend remains remains okay. The only thing is we have just closed inside the bands on the weekly charts for the first time last week, since well, I say for the first time in several weeks. So it's possible that we could just be getting some backfilling actually this week, and see, although the dollar CAD is up today. So if I put this onto a daily chart, you'll see that we're up today. Going back to the weekly charts, it's quite possible that actually this dollar CAD rolls over a little bit at some point this week. So that is a potential, considering we close back inside the bands. So obviously resistance are these prior highs. That will be it for now. It's a bit of a long update. I'll be back on Friday for live trading.